30 Minutes with Ron. Hello, my name's Ron Gagliardi. I'm the host of 30 Minutes with Ron. We have two very special guests this evening. We have Paul Bowman, who's the president of the board of the Cheshire Community Food Pantry, and we have Patty Hartman, who's the executive director of the Cheshire Community Food Pantry. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
We have a lot of information to impart this evening. Normally I don't use notes, but this is such a very important and very impressive sheet of information, I'm going to use it. Our first question, what is the history of the food pantry?
Well, originally the Cheshire Food Pantry started in at St. Bridget's Church about in the 30s, and come 2009 there was a lot of need in Cheshire. So the pastor of that church, Father Bob, put together a committee to look into how to best serve Cheshire, and from that came a study that showed that they needed to move away and start independent 501c3, hence the Cheshire Community Food Pantry was born. So we've been on our own at a little place, 1,700 square feet, right behind Rosini's Pizza. So the Cheshire Food Pantry has been there since 2010, right?
That's correct.
Aha! How many families does the pantry serve?
Families, we have about 154 families right now, which equates to about 325 individuals. So the households, the families could be anywhere from 1 to 7 people in the household, so that's how we get up to that number.
And what are the criteria for becoming a member?
Well, we actually don't qualify our clients. They are qualified through the town of Cheshire, through the social service department. It's usually someone that's going through some type of a hardship. There are any number of different types of hardships that they could be going through. Unemployment, underemployment, illness, anything. And it's someone who's going through a difficult time and there just isn't enough food to feed everyone in the house. So that's what we do. We help supplement their pantries with our pantry.
Ah, makes perfect sense. Now there's something here about a client choice model. I've never heard of that.
Oh, that's what we're very, very proud of. So when our clients come in, we try to keep a very discreet environment for them because it's hard for people to ask for food or to come anywhere. So we want all of our clients, they come in by appointment, they are greeted at the front desk by a receptionist, and then during that appointment they go into what's like a little shopping center. So it's only one aisle, but we have a refrigerator, we have freezer, and we have a shopping cart, and our clients are able to choose what they want off of our shelves. So they have usually about 15 minutes to shop. Every person, not household, every client gets about an average of 12 pounds per week per person in the household. So you multiply that by the number of people in the household. And then we have all of the produce that we have available, so that will supplement it, and then bread, and then we also have items that are in excess. They're usually very nutritionally dense food, so that's on top of all. So the poundage ends up to be 15 to 17 pounds per person per week.
Huh. Now you have two different kinds of donations. You have donations of money and donations of food.
Absolutely.
And you also have lots of volunteers. How many volunteers do you have?
About 100 volunteers total. Some of them, the board of directors, it's entirely, they're all volunteers. Then we have our fundraising committees. We have a capital committee. So that it counts for about 35. And then our actual volunteers in-house or occasional volunteers, about 65. But we have a lot of people who are actually interested in volunteering for us. We simply don't have the space for it right now.
Ah, but there's going to be a new place, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, now there's something here about the people and the groups who support you. Are there certain groups that always are supporting you?
Well, it's really a lot of folks in Cheshire didn't know that a pantry existed for many years. So since I've come on in 2012, one of the things that I have been focused on is getting out into the community. So we have most of the civic organizations in Cheshire support us, but then we've also been able to get a lot of support from the interfaith community. So the churches and synagogues in Cheshire support us on a daily basis. Whether you go to Temple Beth David, they have a community garden for us, St. Bridget's, and a number of the churches do food drives every week, so we are well supported by the community.
And I'm assuming that you're having some future planning. How does that go on?
When we talk about future planning, we have twofold. We're waiting in great anticipation for a new building that we're going to be talking about that shortly. But as far as planning goes, we have different programs that we are always trying to introduce. So we have a back to school program that we plan with the children. So they put together a wish list and we provide their needs for going back to school, everything from, their socks and their pants to their school supplies. So we put that together. We have holiday programs where we put together holiday meals. We also have gifting with St. Bridget's. We work on what's called the Giving Tree, and we put together the holiday wish list and fulfill them for all of the people in our clientele.
Excellent. Now there's something here about SNAP. What's SNAP and how's that affecting you folks?
Well, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a state program, and that has actually been cut. It's been in the news a lot of times. A lot of our clients rely on SNAP, and as that's cut, they have more reliance on the pantry. So those are the benefits that they get, which would be food stamps, the equivalent of food stamps. So when they can't get that, or they need to supplement it because those dollars have been cut from the state funding, we become a bigger player in their lives as far as providing food and services.
Okay, now what are the limitations of the current facility?
Size.
Aha.
During the holidays, we are so fortunate because we get these wonderful donations. We have nowhere to put them. We trip over one another. So what we try to do is find as much space as we can, but it's become not a liability, but a difficult situation for us. We are in close proximity to a couple of very large warehouses. That would be Whole Foods and Bizzuto's. And when they have overages or they've refused something, first call is us. And so we will have someone calling us. We've had it from Whole Foods where they will say, we have 2 pallets full of kale. Would you like it? And of course we'd like it, but sometimes we have nowhere to put it. So what we do is we take it in, but then we scramble to try to find other places to place it. And unfortunately, as a result of that, we lose out on a great portion of that donation because we've had to pay it forward to someone else. And what we're looking for is to have the accommodations to be able to say yes to everyone.
Now there's also some other disadvantages. I see that there's something with client privacy and parking.
You're absolutely correct. Those must have been in the notes, sir.
They were, yes.
You're doing a fine job. You know that Cheshire is a very small community. So part of that is in the discrete environment. We want to respect our clients' privacy. But unfortunately, in the building that we're in now, we have one common entrance. So while we will have a client coming in for an appointment, we will have someone from the community very generously coming in for a donation. And unbeknownst to any parties, they bump into each other and they know one another. And it makes for what I feel is an uncomfortable situation if I'm trying to protect privacy. Right. So in our new facility, which we are hoping to come, we'll talk about that a little later,
yes.
We're going to have 2 entrances, specifically one for clients that they will come in for their scheduled appointment, and the separate entrance will be for anyone else. It's a different parking lot. We'll have the donor entrance, the client parking lot, the donor parking lot. So we're very excited about that. And that way we'll be able to ensure that discrete environment.
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of an HVAC problem as well?
Well, yes. There's quite. We've had to, on the hottest days of summer, we're currently in a 1,700 square foot brick garage. There's not a lot of what would you call insulation?
Yeah, insulation.
Insulation is the word.
Energy efficiency.
There's no. If it's hot outside, it's hot in the pantry. If it's cold outside, it's cold in the pantry. The major door that opens up, the garage door, if it's 20 degrees outside, that garage door goes up, it's 20 degrees inside. So not only for our clients is it uncomfortable, it's also very, very uncomfortable for our volunteers. And it's a problem. If it's too cold, we have to close. If it's too hot, we have to close then too.
That's terrible. But something's happening. The future. Paul, we've kind of been neglecting you. What is the vision for the future?
Well, our vision is to build a new building. We've been fortunate enough to reach out to the community. We had done a feasibility study, and the study came back to us indicating that the community in general would support a new facility and a capital campaign. So we began to look at what some of our options were. We knew if we wanted to leave 51 Railroad Avenue and go to another facility, we needed to find land. The history would prove that we looked at several buildings throughout Cheshire. We looked at vacant land. We actually made offers on a couple of buildings that didn't pan out. So the thought process came up to talk to our state legislative delegation to see if we could get some land from the state of Connecticut on Sandbank Road, which was part of the correction facility. So we worked very diligently, and we were given 2 acres of land, and that will be the host site for our new facility. So the location is 175 Sandbank Road.
Excellent. And what's the approximate size of this building?
The size of the building is about 6,000 square feet, 1 floor. It's a very subtle building. It's a pre-engineered building, a butler-type building. We want it to be subtle. We want it to be affordable. We want it to operate very efficiently. You talked about HVAC before. This will be a very energy-efficient building that will certainly meet the needs of the pantry.
How about the American with Disabilities Act?
Good point, Ron. The building that we're currently in does not accommodate the ADA whatsoever. So the new building will have handicap parking spaces, bathrooms, and the facility is fully boundary-free. So someone that's in a wheelchair or needs assistance will be actually able to work through the pantry very easily and comfortably.
Excellent. And Patty, we were talking earlier, you seemed very excited about a garden.
Yes, we have a small garden now. What we found is one of the things that we're lacking sometimes, we do get a lot of non-perishable donations, but produce or high nutritional value foods, we found that we might as well try to grow them. So we have a small raised bed garden that we've been working on in our space, and we realized that the produce from that garden has been received with open arms from our clients. So we're now going to have a 2,000 square foot garden, and it's going to be planted 3 seasons. We're looking at early spring, summer, and early fall, so we can actually rotate our crops. So we're going to do it on a more planned rotation, as opposed to I've got a couple tomato plants and I'm going to plant them and we're going to have lots of tomatoes. So this year I'm working with garden clubs, working with a couple of other people, that we will actually have a garden that produces much more than we were able to before, and it'll be a little bit more efficient than what we've had in the past. And we have a lot of volunteers. That's one of the opportunities, because we've had, as I said before, a lot of children in the community, families want to volunteer, but in our current space it's inappropriate because of the crossover. There are liability issues because of the crowding. There's also that privacy issue that we were talking about, where bumping into clients. In this new space, we're not going to have that. We'll have a community room, but we'll also have that garden that they can tend to independently of the building. And we've been able to do that. And so we have about 14 slots. So we have 14 families coming in a week to water and weed and tend to our garden.
Excellent. Now, I see in the notes that there's a sorting section. What is sorting? Why do you need sorting?
Well, we have, one of the things that we ask for is non-perishable items, and those items are usually dated. Now, when they're past their date, we've heard many times they're still good. But I work with a very, very vulnerable population. So what we try to do is put things on the shelf with an extended date on them so that when our clients come in, they are comfortable with the foods that they're taking away. So if you think we've actually received 90 tons of food last year. And what we have to do is look at every single one of those cans or bottles or whatever and make sure that they're within the expiration date before we put them on our shelves. Now, we don't throw them out. What we do is we look for anything from 0 to 6 months past expiration, and we give them to a soup kitchen because they are very confident about sniffing and throwing it in, and they're very good about that. But the things that are older, or we have contributions or donations that are given to us that are open. So we have to sort through every can, every bottle, every box to make sure it hasn't been opened, it's within the expiration date. So that is a major undertaking, and a lot of our volunteers work on that.
Okay. Now, what is the cost going to be of this facility? Sounds like it's going to cost a fair amount.
Yes, it's going to cost the building, the fixtures, the site work is budgeted to cost about $1.1 million. It's a very large amount of money that we take very seriously. We are very lucky to have people that donate to us, and we take very good care of their money and take that very seriously. Along with the land that the state of Connecticut gave us, we were also able to secure a grant from the state of Connecticut in the amount of $465,300. So that was a big help of us trying to reach our goal. Now, to reach our goal, we are embarking upon a capital campaign, and we're trying to raise $600,000. We've been very fortunate to date. We have a very good committee of about 20 people that are just starting to go out into the community and talk to people, and talk to companies and foundations to try to raise that money. We are more than halfway there now.
Excellent.
So we're very excited about that, and we're looking to get to the finish line. We'll have many opportunities. We'll have within the building. We'll have opportunities for people to give gifts, to have naming rights to a room, to an aisle, to shopping carts. Different levels of giving will offer different levels of sponsorship or recognition. The walkway to the community garden is another level, another opportunity. So there's several opportunities that are all available. If they're not on our website, they will be very shortly. And there's a lot of information on our website, CheshireFoodPantry.org. So if you at home would like to go on our website and take a look at what we have to offer, we'd love it. So we're hoping to knock on everyone's door and to be calling people shortly, and to reach our goal of the $600,000.
And it could be corporate, it could be individual, family, group.
That's correct. It could be individuals, families, corporations, foundations. We are talking to as many people as possible to reach our goal.
And Paul, I see that there's a feasibility study that's been completed.
Yes, we actually had a company out of Chicago that did a feasibility study for us to see what the community knew about the pantry, how they feel about the pantry, and what the expectation was for a food pantry, and to actually see if there would be support for a new building. And we were lucky to have about 30 individuals that were interviewed by this company. Some had some experience with the food pantry. Others didn't have any experience, so we got a good cross-section of people to give us input. And the results of the feasibility study were very positive. And so that started our process. We're on our way.
Now, it sounds like it's well planned. What are some of the milestone dates for this?
Well, right now, we're hoping to have a groundbreaking ceremony early March. and we're hoping to advertise that in the paper, and so we expect to break ground, I would say, by the second week of March, and if all goes well, we will be able to have occupancy late fall. So we're thinking November 1st, Patty.
November 1st. Yes, this is very exciting. It seems like it's a long time coming, but now it just seems to be accelerating. We've gotten great support. So, and the holidays that is the most important time for us.
Yeah.
So to be in there November 1, it's huge.
Now, there's a name for this campaign, Paul?
Feed Our Future.
Who came up with that name? That's a good name.
One of our volunteers came
Aha.
up with that name. And it's we're very excited about the program and very excited about our future. And that's what it's all about. It's the future of our clients and our community, and how we need to leverage the gifts and the donations and contributions that are given to us to the best advantage of our clients. So it's all about feeding our future.
I'm assuming that if one were to want to volunteer, you can't just walk in off the street. There must be some kind of a vetting process. Is that true?
There is, yes. As Patty said earlier, we probably have another 50 or 60 people that would love to volunteer. We have people call that would like to have their children volunteer. We have sports teams that would like to volunteer. We aren't able to safely accommodate them. So Patty does have a vetting, if you will, where she will have a program that you would have to attend, and Patty can explain that better than I, but I believe it takes a couple of hours and talks about process. It talks about, again, confidentiality, which is crucial for our clients.
Well, let's go through a little bit of a volunteer. I come there and I say, I really want to help because I've heard such great things about this place. What do you ask me first?
Well, the first thing I ask you, the first thing I'll probably tell you is I can't take volunteers at this time because we have so much generosity from our volunteers of their time that I cannot physically fit anyone in my building right now. Mm-hmm. But with the new building, we're looking at program development, which is the most important. That's our next step because that's part of the building process. So we will need more volunteers to tend to not only our clients, our extension of hours, but to introduce some of the new programs that we're looking at. And some of those would be nutrition. We want to do some nutrition education. And part of that is that many of our clients are coming in with illnesses, and they will tell us flat out, I'm suffering from diabetes, I have celiac disease, I have high blood pressure. So we are scrambling through our food, and we're not nutritionists, but trying to find the low salt, low sugar, and how do you put together a very good, a substantial diet with limited access to food. So what can we get you that's going to help you with that diet? Mm-hmm. So we're looking at introducing those programs and bringing some professionals in. We actually have had educators from UConn. We've had geriatric specialist from Southern Connecticut offer to help us with those programs, but we simply have nowhere to put them. So with programs, because I'm a half-time employee, I need volunteers to help me with that. I also need volunteers for the sorting and for the holidays. We've introduced another program that's called I Really Need, where we provide small items that someone might think are insignificant, maybe rain boots, or we try to get those to sort them to fulfill what our clients' needs are. So we need program volunteers for that. And I actually need program volunteers or volunteers to just come in and help with some of the paperwork. But literally, there's nowhere to put them in our new space. So that is a huge part of the next step, where we'll be able to involve the community and then really introduce some of these programs that we so desperately need.
But what would you ask me? I mean,
what would I ask you as a question?
How do you find out about me?
Well, the first thing that I do is I have you fill out an application. And we want to make sure that our clients are well suited for the positions that they're coming into. Because I could say, I want you to work with clients. And if you say, that's not really what I want to do. I don't want to force you down that alley. So what I'll do is have you fill out a questionnaire. You tell me about your interests. You tell me about your special skills, and we'll try to align you with something that would be appropriate for your interests. Could be the garden, could be sorting. I have so many people that come in and they love the sorting because they're that type of organizational mentality, and so for them it's very calming. There are other people that love to work with the clients, and they create these wonderful relationships with our clients. So that's the first thing that I go through. And then the second part, once we evaluate what it is that you want to do that aligns with what our needs are, then I will actually put you through the confidentiality and all of that paperwork, whether it be emergency or, find out, make sure that there's no legal, stuff in your background, do a little bit of a background check. We ask generally for references, so those are the type of things we need. We have all the paperwork that we need you to fill out, and of course, what happens in the pantry stays in the pantry. So you have to fill out that portion of the program. We're also we have to coach our volunteers to really take that to heart about what stays in the pantry, because we do not want anyone going out in the community and talking about who they met, who they saw. As I said before, confidentiality and discretion are tantamount to what we are doing, and it's really important. But one of the other, if you're going to work in the pantry, in the back, I have to make sure you can pick up 45 pounds of whatever. So that is a big...
That's a requirement. Yeah,
Yes.
Paul, I was going to ask you about children. When I was there, I saw teenage kids, but you're probably not going to have young kids out there unless they're in the garden.
Well, it's interesting. The new building we'll have a community service area within the warehouse that's totally separated from the clientele. So there's an opportunity for, let's say there's a class that wants to come in and perform, fourth grade class. They want to come in and perform community service. They would enter the building through the private entrance on the west side. They would come into the large warehouse area, and we'll have an area set up where they could do sorting. They could actually do some volunteer work, maybe put baskets together. Patty would come up with various programs. So those opportunities all exist, and it would make a big difference.
If I could jump on that.
Sure, why not?
Some of our best volunteers are the little ones. We have the brownies coming in, and to get the children to come in at that age, and they bring in food, and we go through the whole tour of the pantry, what we do, why we do it, and they get it. You see the light bulb come on, and they actually are this wonderful machine for figuring out things that they can do to help. So the younger clients or the younger volunteers coming in, when we do have those opportunities, it's great.
We want to build community service for the future.
Excellent. Paul, I have a final question for you. If someone, a person, a group, a corporation wants to donate, how do they do this?
Well, that's the most important question, Ron. Thank you for asking that. If you would like to go to our website, CheshireFoodPantry.org, there's many opportunities for giving, and there's many different levels for giving. It's most important that we accept all contributions, but we have opportunities from, you can have a brick, you can have a room named after you, an aisle in the pantry, shopping carts. There's many, many opportunities, and we look forward and we promise to take good care of your dollars if you choose to give them to the Cheshire Community Food Pantry.
Well, a half hour has flown by. I want to thank Patty Hartman and Paul Bowman for being on as guests, and hope you folks get to tune in and see all this good stuff numerous times. Get it in your mind a couple times while you see it twice or 3 times. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
very much.
You're welcome.